You're probably the guy in Philly that opens for the most like household name comic. I mean, obviously Sebastian Maniscalco and Dan Cummins and Tom Segura and anyone that comes through Helium pretty much is a big name. You're usually on the bill there. How did you get into that foray of being that guy that these massive national headliners, either when they're coming to Philly or even not even in Philly, somewhere else, wants you to come open for them? Like, how did that evolve?
Yeah. The fact, like, with the three names you said, Sebastian, Tom Segura, and Dan Cummins, all of my opening for them came from opening for them in a comedy club and then just hitting it off.
Yeah.
Just as simple as, like, it was a random booking. I'm the middle act. They're headlining. We hit it off. We bullshit. We have a couple drinks after the show throughout the week, and we just kind of get it done. And then they've been like, hey, man, if you're traveling or if you're free, you can tag along a couple dates with me. And that's happened with all three of those.
Nice.
Like I said, it was really just as simple as that. Just not being a dick and being funny and, getting along with the headliner. They were, in all three of those instances, they were just like, hey, man,
come to the
or, it's going both ways. I said, like, hey, if you ever need anybody, and sometimes they're like, oh, yeah, give me your info. I can use you here and here. But Sebastian asked me to do a couple gigs with him. So was just from opening at a club before they were famous and just networking and shooting the shit in the green room.
So now, like, I'm trying. If you can think back to maybe your first interaction with Sebastian or Tom or whoever you want to pick here, I'm thinking here's Pat House, who enjoys being alone. He gets off stage, murders the crowd. You just want to get back to that hotel room, like you said. There's nothing better than
Well,
kind of debriefing.
I would do that after the comedy club hangout.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is it like approaching someone like Sebastian or Tom for the first time? Like, I mean, they might give you like, hey, you did good out there or something like that. What's that? How do you go get up, maybe like the balls or whatever, to come up to one of these guys and kind of get that conversation and that network started?
Well, I met Sebastian at the Philly Helium, and I met Tom Segura at the Portland, Oregon Helium, and neither one were famous yet.
Okay.
So we're just two comics on the same show.
Okay.
It would be the same thing as, like, me and you doing a show. Like, they were headlining, but Tom Segura didn't even have his first Netflix special yet. So we're just random comics booked on the same show.
Okay.
That's really all it is. We're shooting the shit. And, at the end of the week, I would usually say, like, hey, man, I had a lot of fun with you this weekend. If you ever need somebody or, if you're able to bring a feature somewhere, I'd love to tag along with you. And then Tom Segura did. He brought me to Philly when he came back. And then in Philly, we're sitting in the green room. And then he offered me Phoenix and Kansas City. And I did those with him. And then around the same time, I'm opening for Sebastian in Philly at Helium, and he's years away from being famous at this point.
Yeah.
He's years away. And then he asked me if I would do Cleveland and New Jersey with him, just because he liked my stuff. We hit it off. A little bit of small talk, but not too much.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, I'm going to Cleveland and New Jersey if you want to tag along. And it was as simple, dude, it's just as simple as that.
So you have to be a good hang, though. You can't just be in this green room, keeping to yourself, not conversing with these guys. You have to be somewhat.
Well, with Sebastian, Sebastian's very quiet and keeps to himself.
Okay, so how do you get a conversation with him started then, if he's like kind of closed off to outside people?
Flat out, we're sitting in the green room at Saturday's show.
Yeah.
And he flat out looks at me and asks me, do you travel for comedy? I said, a little bit. I said, I do. I named a handful of clubs, and he goes, do you want to do Cleveland and this club in Jersey with me? And I said, sure. And dude, that's 100% how it went down. But Sebastian was very quiet and kept to himself. And I read his body language.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. So I reciprocated and kept to myself. And that could have been it for all I know. Like, okay, this guy's quiet. He's funny. I trust him with my fans. I could use him. That's how I think that went.
Yeah, but then after he's done, then do you approach him then, like he's done with his set, the nights he did well, the night's over? Do you then strike up this conversation with him then and be like, okay, I'm not saying like you're using him for future bookings, but he's a nice person. He's a nice person to have in your pocket if they kind of build upon your career here a little bit. So like, you approach him after he's done then and try to make kind of like get maybe a little bit more of an in with him than before the show happened?
When the week is over.
Okay.
Like after this Saturday shows is when I would try to lay some networking foundation.
Okay.
But, you know, I didn't want to do that like Wednesday or Thursday. As the Saturday shows start to wind down, it's like, hey, man, I had a fun week. You know, if you're back in town again, you know, I'd love to open for you or whatever. So
that's awesome.
But I would always save that towards the end of the week, the Saturday or Sunday shows.
Yeah, I mean, and because of this, you have performed with these guys in theaters, and you know, like you're opening for them, you know, in these huge, you know, what would you say would be the biggest place that you performed at, either name wise or people wise, whichever you consider bigger.
I opened for Sebastian at Mohegan's. Was it Mohegan Sun? We did a huge casino in Connecticut. Was it Mohegan Sun? I have to look on it's going to bother me until I get it. But we had 5 shows, and there were 4,500 people at each.
Oh wow!
And then that was Foxwoods.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In Connecticut.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we had 5 shows at 4,500 people each, and then. The last big show I did was 2 years ago. I opened for Segura at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, and there was about 4,000 at that one.